In many cases, these supports are so critical to families that they could mean the difference between their success or their failure, life or death, from generation to generation. Hearing Tia's story reaffirms the importance of the community having support systems in place that help families to deal with those challenges. It also reminds me of the resilience of the human spirit and how, with the right support systems in place, so many people are creating their own success stories. When I think about those families I've worked with over the years, it is their courage and their spirit of determination in the face of struggle that inspires me in my job. That is why I still feel as passionate about my job today as the first day I was sworn in as a police officer. I know that I was called to public service for a reason, and I truly believe we all have a role to play in serving our community. I realized long ago it's not the gun and the badge that allowed me to save lives. It's the compassion and love for human life that has truly helped to save lives. I have always been intrigued and uplifted by the strong, determined human spirit, the ability what some would call ordinary people to overcome the challenges and obstacles of life to accomplish the extraordinary. This has always been fascinating to me, and it is, in fact, one of the very things that brought me into the world of public service and policing. Even as a 12-year-old kid growing up in the streets of Washington, D.C., I knew I wanted to become a cop. And today, as we sit in this room and hear the story of the Rogers family and personal triumphs of Tia, the relentless reach of the human spirit again touches me. It is especially gratifying when I think about the fabric, or should I say the safety net, that exists through a great organization like the YWCA. From providing havens for women and their children, allowing them to maintain the high level of dignity and respect in the face of their challenges, to exploring opportunities where even young people like Tia can take advantage of resources that allow them to develop and exercise leadership roles and role modeling skills. And what about the life skills that are gained through the YWCA programs, helping families to move from dependency to independency and build their own social capital? As Kirsten mentioned, just last year I visited the YWCA's Strong Men Pushing Reading program and had a chance to see firsthand how this organization is strengthening the family connection through the entire family, bringing in men and fathers who are key to the link of family support and stability. Through the YWCA, families are realizing much-needed hope and opportunity. Most institutions have a written statement of values or some other visible manifestation of their value system. Some align their organizational culture and activities around these values or principles, and some do not. Some give strong credence to their value system, and some do not. But what I personally know to be true, since I've had the pleasure of working with the YWCA, is that the YWCA doesn't just write out their value system, they carry it out each and every day. When you walk through the YWCA's community, and yes, it is a community, you witness the love, the compassion, the strength, the hope, the opportunities, and so much more. As we listened to Tia's story, we were able to see the real-life example of how the fabric of a community has been woven in the life of the family at the YWCA. We heard how the great organization has given a mom, a daughter, a sister, and a friend the chance to discover their purpose, not just for the day, but for their future. It's not a coincidence, and it's certainly not an accident, that Tia and her family were drawn here to the YWCA. It's no accident that Tia and Bria were drawn together through a bond and through friendship. And it's definitely not an accident that we are all here today in this room to hear her story. This is a momentous occasion, and it is something more powerful than any person in this room. Hearing Tia's story, I think about a quote I once read, which said, "If you limit your choices only to what seems possible or reasonable, you disconnect yourself from what you truly want, and all that is left is compromise." In listening to Tia, I think about the role that choices and opportunities play in all of our lives. Tia made a choice to take advantage of the opportunity that exists through the YWCA. And even in the face of what could have been seen as an obstacle, she didn't allow her circumstances to limit her choices. Today, Tia continues to make choices around her future and even the future of her peers. The YWCA helped her to feel empowered and to make these choices. The young lady that I mentioned earlier did not have the opportunity to develop healthy behaviors, nor did she and her family have the support system to allow them to feel empowered to keep their family together. Without the right support network, they fell through the safety net and ultimately suffered the tragic loss of this young girl's life. Fortunately, Tia's story is very different. Feeling empowered, Tia is already making her impact on the community through her choices. Her story emphasizes the fact that we must recognize our options and take advantage of the positive in order to see the better outcomes for ourselves and our entire community. If Tia resolved limited herself to certain choices and what seemed easily attainable, based solely on her current circumstances, would she be as empowered as she is today to make a difference and go for what she now knows is possible? She now realizes that she has many more opportunities ahead of her. She can learn a new language, she can become a neurologist, and she can help change the world. And what's even more amazing, that she's not only empowered to better herself, but she's nurturing her entire family. She has become a leader in her own right, and she thanks the YWCA. In fact, each of us present today should take a moment right now to thank and applaud the YWCA for their unselfish and dedicated service. I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to recognize another special person, and that's Tia's mom, Tasha Rogers, who's here with us today. Tasha, please stand up. I have had the pleasure of meeting the entire Rogers family. What charming and beautiful people they are. A family that loves, supports, and cherishes one another. I know personally, if it were not for the YWCA, this wonderful family could very well be a shattered family. The YWCA promised a safety net that allowed this family to remain as a family. They allowed this family to stand on their own, not having to settle for an abusive or controlling circumstances. A testimony in how the safety net allows families to move from dependence to independence. Those of us here today are committed to strengthening families. We all recognize the success stories that come out of an organization like the YWCA. We understand that there is so much more to do. We understand that this is our community, and being here today, we represent the voices of those families who have not yet found their solace, their hope, or their opportunity. The YWCA cannot do it alone. They need our partnership and support because their future success depends on the community fabric. I challenge all of us to dream together about what it means to weave that fabric of community support.